for the next 5 hours. And of course, when Trump speaks, we don't cover the lies live on this show. Bishop Dr. William Barr will be giving the state of our union right here in our studios. It is time to bring the funk on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
Now pause. I'm going to say this for my YouTube, right? Now, a lot of people in this so-called conscious woke community, y'all don't like Roland Martin. Y'all don't like Roland Martin because y'all say he a yes man. He a yes man because he still call black people black. He not into the consciousness like that. He's still going to church. He's still bowing down and praying to Jesus. So a lot of people in the woke conscious community don't like Roland Martin. But I'm going to tell y'all something. That's why we keep running into the same spot that we in. We keep running back into the burning house. How do we keep running back into the burning building? We keep running back into the burning building because it don't matter that this man is a Christian. Let us not forget the church has always been a place of refuge for people of color, people of melanated, right? Melanated so-called black people. The church has always been a refuge for us. It's always been. That goes all the way back. It's always been. We've always had a place where we could gather and give praise and give thanks to the Most High. Okay, back during slavery, we had to sneak away into the woods to do that. Okay, because if Massa caught you praying to your God, because if your God wasn't his God, which is blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, and this is all coming out of history. I'm not trying to diss nobody. I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. If your feelings is hurt, oh, well, I'm sorry. But yeah, if you wasn't praying to his God, which is that blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, then you was being whipped, you was being hung, you was probably going to be sold off from your family because you are now considered a threat. And I can't have you fraternizing with the rest of my slaves because you might get it into their head that they too can be free or that they too are not, a Christian or that Jesus ain't their God. So I can't have you messing with my Christians' heads, my slaves' heads. So I got to get rid of you. So, yeah. But a lot of people don't like Roland Martin because of that. But, yo, listen, let me tell you something. Roland Martin, I might not agree with a lot of the things that he follows because, like I said, I'm not a Jesus piece of wear. I'm not a Bible thumper. Okay? But, hey, half of my family and half of my people are. And like I said, the church has always been a place of refuge for melanated black people, so-called black people. So if that's the reason why people don't like Roland Martin, y'all need to grow up for real, man. This man be talking about a lot of the topics, what's going on in the world. He be bringing us the real news that we can use. So I get behind Roland on that. And he did this last night to prove a point and to make a stand. We will not support you, mister, because you do not support us. And until you support us, we will not support you. And how did we just show an act of solidarity that we was not going to support him? How they did that, and I keep saying we, okay, I need to stop saying we because I don't want to be thrusted into any of these, because until I see the needle moving, like something happening, I'm sorry, because we've been here before. I can't just keep giving all my energy, jumping on all these bandwagons. You know what I mean? Every time somebody jump up and say, hey, we gonna boycott. Hey, we ain't gonna buy nothing. Hey, we ain't gonna ride the bus. Hey, we ain't gonna do this. Hey, we ain't gonna do that. Yo, I've been doing that so much, my head's spinning. My head's spinning and ain't nothing getting done. We still here. I'm still here. Huh? My people still poor. Most of my people. So what we doing wrong? Again, that's why we gonna go into the citizenship thing when I'm done with this. But yeah, I like Roland, man. So let's go. I'm gonna play it, and I'll be back. Y'all just watch.
Cash. You can customize your cash back, no matter where life takes you.
Neutrogena's Hydro Boost line has a one-of-a-kind gel matrix formula that delivers deep, weightless hydration.
Sorry about the commercials, y'all.
New 5-cheese mac and cheese is now on Domino's Mix and Match menu.
A performance that truly matters.
Yeah, they gonna play a lot of commercials on this one because Roland hit a real last night. 1 million
The
views.
energy is amazing.
He got 1 million views.
Whatever it is, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop.
He got 1.1 million views.
It is rolling. Best believe he's going.
So yeah, a lot of so-called woke conscious brothers and sisters, so-called black brothers and sisters do not like Roland Martin because they say he a yes man. He a yes man. But you know what I see when I look at this man? I see a man that's doing something. He actually doing something. He ain't just talking, he doing something. You know what I mean? He out there, he boots on the ground every day. And he rubbing elbows with the people that we need to be touching over there. He's touching them. He's rubbing elbows with them. So whether or not he a yes man, believe in Jesus, called whatever, he's still our brother, yo. And we need to remember that.
What's the news to politics? With entertainment just for kicks, he's going. It's the go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, he's Roland Martin.
Folks, welcome to the Black Star Network, our live coverage of the joint session of Congress speech happening tonight in 2 hours. We are 2 blocks away from the White House, occupied by a twice impeached, criminally convicted felon who is consistently lying and shaming this country. Why are we covering the state of our union? Because when you look at what has happened since January 20th, it has been a vicious assault, not just on folks who do not align with MAGA, but specifically African Americans. Donald Trump, his co-president Elon Musk, and all his minions came out of the gate attacking DEI as a reason for 67 people dying in a plane crash at DCA airport here. You've seen the attack on civil rights. You've seen them firing federal workers. You've seen them specifically targeting anyone who talks about the issue of race and diversity and inclusion. You've seen a Fox News anchor become the Secretary of Defense, replacing a retired 4-star general in Lloyd Austin, come in and literally fire the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff because he's an African American. We have seen a vicious attack, lies being spread. We've seen folks who are being terrorized, federal workers taunted, individuals saying that they frankly don't deserve their jobs. And what this says is that we right now are a country that has serious issues. Now, Republicans are excited and happy of what they're seeing, but they're so scared to death of constituents that they even are saying that, hey, don't have any more town halls because they don't want residents, they don't want constituents putting pressure on them, complaining about what is happening in the nation's capital. But this is not just an issue what's happening in Washington, D.C. Understand there are federal workers all across this country. The decisions made by Elon Musk and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance impact the world. We see cuts in USAID where people are literally dying as a result of these decisions. And what do you hear from the so-called pro-life folks like Franklin Graham and Tony Perkins and others? You hear absolutely nothing. We're showing their hypocrisy. So the next several hours, what we're going to be doing is focusing on the state of our union. We're going to be talking with folks in a variety of areas, speaking to the issues that are at play. What did I say last month? That MAGA wants to defund Black America. We see an all-out assault on civil rights, on economic rights. We are seeing an attack on DEI, on core supply diversity programs happening in corporate America. We're talking about tens of billions of dollars that are being impacted in Black communities. We're seeing HBCUs also under assault, programs that are being cut. We're seeing grant programs. I was talking to a nonprofit leader just last night telling me that their programming, their events are being decimated by these various cuts. One bank that was in as a sponsor of a gala pulled out a week ago simply saying, we're going to rescind our invite. And so what we wanted to do was really crystallize this and put folks in the same place to talk about what is going on, but also to offer a roadmap. There's so many people, and I've talked to y'all, I've seen y'all across the country as I've traveled this nation, stopping me in airports and stopping me on the streets of San Francisco, also in New York, also in Charlotte and Houston and other places. People saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I'm scared what's going on. And so our goal is to be able to provide you a roadmap and some information that you need to be able to confront what is happening. The reality is Donald Trump won the election. He'll be there for the next 4 years. The Republicans control the White House, they control the House, they control the Senate. It is clear Republicans do not want to hold this man accountable. And so what you have are legal experts taking them to court, federal judges rendering rulings, but you have a lawless administration that has literally said they will ignore the orders of federal judges.
Okay, pause. I'm pausing this for a minute because I want to show y'all something. So Roland just went down all the things that are going on with this DEI, Trump, et cetera, but I'm going to show y'all something real quick, right? Let me just turn over here in my book, in my files, because y'all know I reads, man. I researches. A lot of this stuff is free. We can look it up. It's all right. Okay, it's not against the law. You have the right to do it. So I'm just going to show y'all this. Can y'all see that? What does that say? Anybody see that? Y'all see that file right there? Y'all see that file right there on the YouTube? You see it? You see it? Okay. You see it, right? Now, in here, blacks to be exterminated, ex-Schwartz style. Ex-Schwartz, Auschwitz style. What is that? That's German. I'm going to say German, right? In here is a bunch of what you call executive orders. So I want to tell you what I see happening. Let me tell y'all what I see happening. What I see happening is everything that has been written down and said to go into effect. They want these things to go into effect. All these executive orders going all the way back to RIP. Former President Jimmy Carter. So everything that's happening right now is by design. I want you to understand me, my people. Okay, I'm not going to read this to you. You can find that online because it is public domain now. It is free and it is your right to know. You can find that online. Okay? Yes, it is free. You can go, and if you have your own PC or whatever, you can download it yourself. Okay? Blacks to be exterminated, Auschwitz style. Auschwitz or something, however you pronounce it. Just put in blacks to be exterminated. It'll probably pop up. Okay? But in there is a list of all of these things that we're seeing happening right now. Okay? And these are documents that are now, like I said, and I'm going to say it again, public domain. And let me give my disclaimer before I go any further. Fair use is granted under the Copyright Act of 1976 for criticism, education, commentary, editorial, news, research, entertainment, etc. But that is my disclaimer. So I'm borrowing this video. This is Roland Martin. I'm just borrowing this. We'll just be playing a portion of this, okay? And yes, that document is what you call public domain, okay? You can look it up. It is legal to do. And in there, you will see executive orders that all coincide with everything you see and we see and happening right now today. This is why I'm trying to get y'all to understand what's going on. So you can stop running into the same damn burning building. Didn't Martin Luther King tell us years ago If you've ever read the speech where he said, I feel as though I have led my people into a burning building. Yes, and it is time for us to get the heck up out that burning building and don't take your ass back in there. This is why I keep saying we need this work. Yes, we do. So let's go, because there's more to show. More to show. Pull up, share this, tell somebody, pull up. Let's get it.
But we are witnessing it. People say, well, we've never witnessed this. And yeah, this generation has never witnessed this. But the reality is, when you look at the history of this country, we've seen this before. We've seen the likes of Andrew Johnson and Woodrow Wilson, two of the most racist presidents ever to occupy the Oval Office. And so history shows us what is going on. There's no doubt when Bishop Barber delivers his State of Our Union address to us tonight, he's going to speak to those very issues, giving us a sense of what we can do. Because for too many people there, I keep hearing that they're powerless. People are saying that, well, I don't know what I can do, that we actually have no power. But that's actually not true.
Let me turn the light on. My bad. I see the light. I got y'all.
The Supreme Court election that's taking place in that state on April 1st. The Democrats win that super majority on the state Supreme Court. You've got critical state house races. You've got gubernatorial races in Virginia, in Michigan, in New Jersey. You've got local races happening. So what I've been saying to folks, we cannot spend our time talking about 2028, who's going to run, who's going to be the candidate. We can't talk about 2026, will Democrats reclaim the House or the Senate? The key to how do you focus on what's happening right now, right in front of you, to be able to stop what is going on. So what I want everyone watching over the next several hours to understand is that you have a role to play in this. You cannot be quiet. You cannot be passive. And this is also clear. Those of you who are watching, and you've got millennial and Gen Z and Gen Alpha, sons and daughters and nieces and nephews and friends and cousins and fraternity brothers and sorority sisters, we must be challenging them not to check out of this process, because this is game on for everybody. We have seen the last 2 weeks the town halls take place where Republicans have been scared to death because the constituents have been fighting back. Donald Trump comes out and says he's a paid protester. These are people who are paid agitators. But no, these are regular, ordinary people who don't want to see Medicaid cut, who don't want to see these jobs cut. You've got veterans who are being laid off. You got people who actually voted for him who now realize that they are also being impacted by these cuts.
That's
this
right.
Is a
that includes white people too.
People must be willing to stand up and shout from the rooftops and put pressure on elected officials. Let them know
I told y'all, pressure bust pipes.
They are expected to do what we want them to do. And that may mean taking it to the street. That may mean going to those town halls. That may mean calling and writing and emailing them. But it also means you doing your part to stand up and let them know that we're not going to be silent. And so our goal
not be moved.
is to empower you with information, to give you an understanding of what is happening, how significant what is happening, and for you to also then begin to move and take action. So many of you, I've been getting text messages and emails, and I've been having folks saying, man, my grandmother sent me this in to watch your show. Well, guess what? Just like we've been sending all of these text messages around, that's called mobilization and organization. And so we can use the exact same power to affect what is happening in this country. And let me remind somebody, every single one of you have 2 United States senators. And I don't care if, because I'm from Texas, and just like in my state, both are Republican, but it doesn't matter. Every single one of us, we're still constituents. And so we should be putting pressure on them, letting them know that we're not happy with what is going on. They don't serve one party. They serve all Americans. And so this is not the time nor the moment for us to be checking out of a process. This is the time for us to be checking into a process. We're going to begin our conversation tonight with labor leaders, folks who are under assault by Donald Trump, by MAGA, by Republicans, folks who claim they support the working class, but they're not actually advocating on behalf of the working class when you look at the actions they are taking. So we're going to go over here and start our panel right now. So let me introduce, first of all, April Verrett. She is, of course, the leader of the Service Employees SEIU. April is joining us. Do we have April? April, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm all good. Glad to have you on the show. Thank you so very much. Fred Rampman, Secretary Treasurer, AFL-CIO. Fred, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Roland.
Glad to see you, sir. In studio, Randy Irwin. He is the national president for the National Federation of Federal Employees. Randy, glad to have you here. And Becky Pringle, she is president of National Education Association. Becky, glad to have you here as well. April, I want to get it started with you first. When we look at what's been happening, when we look at these attacks on federal workers, how does it feel to literally have leaders, people saying these people don't deserve paychecks? These people should be scared to death. These people, how they are being condemned. What are you hearing from your members? Because what I'm hearing from people, they're absolutely scared to death with what is happening right now in this country.
Absolutely. There is so much fear and uncertainty and chaos, which I think is the point of the actions that you're seeing come out of this administration. But folks are also ready for a fight. Folks have not worked for the federal government for 5, 10, sometimes 40 years, and that's after serving their country. We have to remember there's a large percentage of the federal workforce that are veterans that served our country in that way and wanted to continue to serve our country in this capacity. And we're talking about people who work at veterans hospitals and the folks who make sure your grandmama get her Social Security check on time. To hear them called, all out of their name, talked about crazy, it's simply not right. And so it's not just a time to hunker down and be afraid, but it is a time to stand up and fight and show all of the American people that this federal workforce is ready to stand up and defend not just their jobs, but the services that the American people depend on.
Brian, Randy, when you hear that, what I keep walking people through is that federal workers deliver services, right? You have folks, whether the Democrat, Republican, Independent, people say, "Oh, you know what? You just get rid of those folks." Yeah, but when you need something, it's amazing. They want folks to be there. When natural disasters happen, they want FEMA to be there. When their planes are late, they're complaining what's going on. When you have too much air traffic, they're like, "Okay, what's going on with the FAA?" Sure. We can go down the line, and I keep saying that people are going to have to, and I hate to go there, they're going to have to experience pain to understand the role that federal workers play. And this is the moment to push back on the folk with the level of attacks that we are seeing, because those federal workers are public servants. They have families, they have kids who are in school, they are homeowners, sure. They're contributors to our economy, but also they are working on behalf of regular, ordinary people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, federal employees, middle class workers, nobody in the federal government is paid excessively. And like you said, they perform so many essential tasks for the American people. I agree with you that, with this whole DOGE effort and what Trump's doing, they're so hostile to federal employees. They're really making everybody scared, forcing a lot to leave the federal government. But it won't take long. We're already seeing it. We've got about a little less than 10% of the federal workforce that has either been forced into resignation or fired. About 175,000 federal employees right now. People are really going to start feeling the pain with just that much. But DOGE's goal is 75% of the federal workforce. If they got anywhere near to that, this country would not resemble the country that we have today. And I'll just mention also, 30% of federal workers are veterans. And since we've lost 175,000 federal workers already, that means over 50,000 veterans, middle-class veterans, no longer have their jobs to feed their families.
Damn,
that's not right.
See that,
This has a direct impact on African Americans.
This is real.
1 in 5 federal employees are African Americans. When you look at why is that important? Because for so many decades, we were frozen out of the corporate workforce. And so the corporate workforce is about 10%. So it's double on the federal level. So if you start talking about these massive cuts, and 1 in 5 federal workers are African American, if you take 1 million federal workers, that's going to be 100,000 African Americans. And we talk about the ability to be able to impact families.
See, the sad thing about this, and I'm just going to jump in here for a brief moment. The sad thing about all of these cuts, see, a lot of people are sitting back saying, "Oh, well, that's good. Doge is fine. And now what they doing with all our money, where they've been wasting all our money." Yes, that part is good. That part is good. I would like to know where my hard-earned money is going. I would like to know that you just spent $50 million on some research to make people play more video games. I would like to know where my money is going. So a lot of these things, the people are thinking are beneficial. Him cracking down on the drug cartel and sending hardened criminals over to, where's he sending them to? El Segundo somewhere. But who is going to be the ones to catch hell behind all of this? Black and brown people. Black and brown people. We know this game. We've been here before. We're
literally going to have an economic calamity in Black America. That is what we are confronting.
No, you're exactly right. And that number is staggering, but we must remember when we look back, it was federal government, it was service employees, workers, people that work for states and local governments, that really helped build the Black middle class in this country.
Share this on
and
your
Black
channel,
workers are being impacted in a way that is, we have never seen before in terms of using weapons as furloughs and layoffs and firing people in order to really, really do damage to Black people, to our communities. We are literally seeing the destruction of the attempt to destroy the Black middle class in this country. And when I say middle class, I'm talking about Black people who work hard every day.
Pause, because I just remembered something. Yo, do y'all remember Woodrow Wilson? What year was this? This is like 1920-something. Woodrow Wilson fired all the Black people that was working in the White House when he got in the White House and became president. Yes, he fired all those federal workers that were of color. So again, we've been here before. History does repeat itself. This is the same thing happening all over again, man. This script don't change. All they keep doing is going back and forth, taking pages from old stuff and playing it again, but putting a new spin on it. Okay, because this has happened before, just in another manner and at another time. Okay.
Well, been able to provide for their families. People's been able to purchase a home in this country, middle class Americans. And they achieved this through hard work, to going to work every day, to being dedicated public servants. And we're seeing that being destroyed by this unconscious effort, an erratic effort by, I call them President Musk and Donald Trump. So, we're in a moment here, Roland. We're in a moment that you and all your viewers know that we all must stand up, we must speak out, and we must do everything that we can in able to turn this around.
How you gonna turn it around though, man? This is what. Okay, commercial.
Poetry book, first set kind.
Question. How are we gonna turn this around though? That's what I'm trying to figure out. How you gonna turn it around if this was the plan? If this was the plan from the time of its inception, I'm talking about from the time their government was built. If this was the plan from the time their government was built, how you gonna turn it around? You feel me? How you gonna turn it around? It don't matter what you do. See what I'm saying? If I build a rocket to take me to space, that's what the heck I built that rocket to do. I built it to take me to space. So that means I am not going to rest or nothing else is going to go down until that rocket takes me to space, because that's why I built that rocket, right? So in other words, if that's what they built up their system to do, if that's what the system is designed to do, because I've been saying this for so many years, brothers and sisters, people in general keep running around talking about, oh, the system is broke. The system is broke. The system is broke. Is it really broke? Or do you just not like the way it's been running? Or do you just not like the way it's been operating? Because it has not been operating in your favor. But you, my melanated brother and sister, were not included. What part of that you don't get? We can go all the way back to the Declaration of Independence. We can go all the way back to all those documents. Read the preamble. At any time that government does not serve man well, we have the right to abolish it, do away with it.
To find great deals and filter out flights you maybe don't want, like ones with layovers.
Ooh, baby. Things people love.
I want to buy your
They're
house.
running up on
I
these
can pay you
commercials
cash for your
Roland
house no
Martin
matter
got
what
1 million
conditions.
views on this video.
If you need to sell your house,
Becky, the attacks are not just happening.
All right, so I'm going to kind of switch over right here. I'm going to switch over right here if anybody
Look,
don't
I'm born and raised
mind.
in Texas. We see this massive voucher battle.
Because I got a couple of things I want to show, so I'm going to kind of go through some things
and
right
I
here,
call
right?
a scam.
So to
And
my
what we're
Facebook
seeing,
people and
the
my
constant
YouTube
attacks
people.
on teachers, on educators. We're seeing it
Let's
on
go right
workers.
here.
And to listen to Republicans literally say that they want trauma inflicted. Lisa Murkowski literally said that when Russell Vought was going before, she literally said, we want to inflict trauma on workers. Yet when they start making cuts in Alaska, hold up, wait a minute, what are y'all doing? And then, of course, the senator in Alabama will start making cuts advocacy some help. Hey, wait a minute, that's impacting Alabama research hospitals, and then we start seeing it in Republicans in other states. So I'm sitting trying to understand: did they not think that their folk were going to be impacted by this?
Apparently, that's what they thought or didn't think, Roland. And you know, we're at the National Education Association, of course, looking at thousands of jobs being lost, especially in those critical areas, making sure that our students who have been marginalized forever, historically marginalized, our students who are living in poverty, our students with disabilities, they are the ones at highest risk to be in larger class sizes so educators can give that one-on-one attention. We're talking about the people who have dedicated their lives to teaching and nurturing and nursing and counseling and driving and feeding the students of America who are not going to have the resources to do the jobs they love. But the question we have to ask is, who is going to suffer the most? And we know who they are. It's the children, the students of America. And by the way, when I say children, I'm talking about pre-K through higher education. Right now, we have a student teacher in Nebraska who wanted to become a teacher, but is at risk not being able to fulfill that dream because of the federal grants that have been cut. That's happening all over America. We did not fight so long to have an equitable, inclusive, caring community of learners and educators to allow this president to dismantle all of that. And what did Linda McMahon do on her first day? What did she do? Our department's final mission. And we know what that's about, to fulfill Project 2025 and dismantle not just the Department of Education, but to destroy public education in this country. Let's be very clear about what's happening.
So what do we do, Fred? What do we do? People, I get that everywhere. People say, I'm scared. I don't know what's going on. Where do we start? I'm depressed. I don't want to watch the news. I want to check out. And if people want to understand how serious this is, right now, I mean, I just checked, literally, there are about 65,000 folks who are watching us live. We just lost, that's the largest live audience. We're actually up to 71,000 now. That's the largest we've ever had. That speaks, the most we ever had was 29,000 when the Tyree Nichols video came out of Memphis. And that speaks to people saying, I want a sense of direction. What do we do? And so, Fred, what is AFL-CIO doing? What do you want the people watching and listening to be doing and understanding?
Well, first of all, I think we're at a moment where, as people, the AFL-CIO is really rallying behind not just our workers, but we're rallying behind our communities throughout this country. And it's time for us to come together as a religious community, as a community of faith, a community of civil rights, a long history of fighting for rights and justice, and the labor movement must be part of that. We have been engaged in numerous efforts to try to fight this off, but it's not going to be one unless we come together as a people and understand that we're all at risk. We formed the Department of People That Work for a Living as our counter to Doge, where we're telling people stories and giving people the opportunity to tell their stories. And we're also engaged in numerous lawsuits around this country. The AFL-CIO has filed 6 lawsuits. We're on briefs for 3 others, so we're a party to 9 different lawsuits.
Y'all still rocking up in here? What's happening up in here?
The key thing, Roland, to this is people must come together. This is a moment that we must coalesce our forces, and we must do whatever we have to do. If it means getting in the streets, if it means confronting our members in Congress, we need people to go to these town hall meetings, and we need people to really make sure that their voices are being heard. But we must do it together in unity with those segments of our community that have always been the spokesman and the spokespeople for social and racial justice.
April, SEIU has never been afraid to unleash their folks on the streets. Y'all were very active in the election as well. As I said in my open, I need people to understand you can't do anything about 2028 and 2025 or even 2026. This is a day-by-day mission. And it's not everything that's based about DC. It's what's happening in your state, in your city, in your county, where you are, because these cuts are impacting everywhere, not just federal workers, but also the services as well. And we need to be rallying people to understand this is not a moment where they can sit out. So lawsuits are being filed, labor's doing their part. What do you say to that regular, ordinary brother or sister who's watching, the role that they can play in trying to change what is happening?
Yeah, Roland, now is not the time to do what we usually do between elections. We pay attention, starting the Labor Day before an election in November, and then we tune out, right, for another 2 years or another 4 years. Now is not the time to tune out. Now is the time to...
Y'all hear that? Now is not the time to tune out. Please listen up, brothers and sisters. Whoever's in the building, brothers and sisters, that goes for whoever's in the building. It has nothing to do with your nationality, your skin tone, okay? But this is not the time to tune out, because we do that. She's right when she says that. We do that all the time. And this is not the time to tune out, because this is not going to go away. Remember, I showed y'all the documentation. Let me show it one more time for the people in the back that just stepped on. So I showed y'all the documentation, right? And in here, right here, let me hold it up. Hope y'all can see that. Can anybody read that right there? What does that say? Can y'all see that over there on the YouTube? Yes. Inside of here, you see that on Facebook? I'm showing it again on the Facebook. Inside of here, all executive orders going all the way back to former President Jimmy Carter. Okay, we have in here the memorandum from what's his name? He passed away. What's this man's name? Now I can't call this man's name. This man was just on my mind. Kissinger. That's Kissinger. So when I read this, and yes, this is public domain. You can look this right up on Google, y'all. When I read these executive orders and I read these memorandums going all the way back to people like Henry Kissinger and the late Jimmy Carter, and I read this stuff and I see what's going on right now, there ain't no way you can't tell me all they're doing is bringing all of this into fruition. That's all that's happening right now. So we keep hollering about, oh, we got to do this because our country, because our nation. Listen, when the last of the natives amalgamated with the United States, okay, the Republic at the time, okay, giving away all your rights to the land, to being free, sovereign, all of that. That was over. That was over. This no more our nothing. This their nation. We keep fighting for something that don't belong to us. Why do we keep doing that? Is there something wrong with us? Are we going through some type of psychological disorder and we're not aware of it? We're not being honest with ourselves because there's got to be something wrong with us that we keep getting up here fighting for this. Why? Why? It's not ours. It's not ours. Once we handed it over to them, not us as in us physically here today, but our ancestors, once we handed it over to them, or they took it, the part that we didn't take, we didn't give to them, once that was all done, it was no longer ours. So now it's time for us to get together and build our own, period. There's no other way because they're not going to change from or abdicate from their agenda. They're not going to deviate from their agenda. That's not going to happen. I told you that Woodrow Wilson, when he got in the office, he fired all the melanated people too. So this ain't nothing but replaying itself all over again. That's all that's happening. I see it. Don't you see it? Why don't you see it? Why won't we see it? Okay? Because now it's back on us. It's getting on us now. What's happening here? What's wrong with us? For real. Because I'm getting tired. I just turned 54, but I would love to see the day when my people will finally wake up and just come the fuck together, man, and just love on each other, love on one another, and come together and say fuck them. If they don't want to be down, they don't want to let you play in their little reindeer games, then so what? Make your own games, make your own holidays. That's all. For real. Now, where the remote at? What I did with the remote, y'all, so I can press play. I done put the remote down. Let me see. Oh, here it go. Underneath the thing. Sorry about that. My bad. But nah, that's serious, y'all. Make your own. Make your own. Let's do our own thing, huh? We got our own thing. We got it. Hey, all my old school babies, y'all know that one.
Lamar said to squabble up. We have to stand up and wage a fight for the cornerstones of our democracy. I believe that folks need to not, as Fred's talked about, staying in your congressperson's face, right? But now is also the time to talk about a vision for the America that we want. right? Not just what we are against. It's time to talk about what we're for. We are for that increase that we are still waiting for in the federal minimum wage. We are for the types of reforms that are necessary for people to be able to come together to form worker organizations like the PRO-Act. It's time that we continue to press forward on jobs programs and programs and not just protecting Medicaid, but expanding the healthcare safety net, not just protecting what our children have in the Department of Education, but calling for an expansion of it. I think we have to talk to people's imaginations, right? Working people in this country voted for lower prices. They voted for more stability. And what they are getting is chaos. And so we have to remind people about what they said they wanted and invite them into a fight so that we can actually go out there and get it.
Hey guys, did you know some drivers are ditching their car insurance and they're doing this instead?
Find out who your man is sexting. Today, I'm going to show you how to expose anyone with just their phone number.
Becky, what are you hearing as you travel? And what are you saying to people?
First of all, I'm listening. We often forget that part of organizing. Organizing one-on-one is to listen. And what we're hearing from not only educators and parents, our natural allies, but the students themselves are rising up to, because they understand the impact that these cuts will have on them, not just the class sizes, but the after-school programs, the arts and sports and all of those things that help to make them those well-rounded humans that are prepared to be the leaders of a just society. So what we need folks to understand is their power. They are not powerless in this moment. They can take action right now all over this country, thousands and thousands of places across this country today. Educators, parents, community members, students came together for Protect Our Kids actions, and we're not done yet. So we're inviting everyone to text action to 48744 so they know how they can get involved in actions that will continue to take place. We have to hold people accountable. And who was Shirley Chisholm, right? She said, if I'm not invited to be at the table, then I'll bring my folding chair, right? So we don't care if members of Congress will not meet with us in their offices. We'll be outside of their offices. We'll be at our schools. We will be calling them out for them making sure that Donald Trump's billionaire friends get more and our kids are getting less. All of us have a role to play. All of us need to know what our power is. All of us need to take action.
Control room, who's on FaceTime? Okay, so give me 1 second.
All right, hold on. Look, we're going to jump over here. I'm going to jump down here, right? I'm going to jump down here because...
I'm going to get a final comment from Fred and April because we need to pull up Congressman Troy Carter. We got a number of different CDC members really coming on. And so I'm going to start with you, April.
Let's switch over here to this one right here so we can hear some more of this.
This thing blows and sucks. This thing spins up to 13,000 RPMs, pushing.
Because for the people in the back,
last night we had a conversation
for
on
the
the show
people in the back that don't really
about,
know exactly what's going on with this Donald Trump and the DEI, you know, there's a lot of people that don't know really what is DEI. What's going on with the DEI? What did he really do? So let's check this one out right here, right? Because this kind of breaks it down a lot better, right? So let's go.
These executive orders and how MAGA and Donald Trump, how they are specifically targeting Black America with these orders. Now, many folks are like, well, man, I don't know about all of that. But what have I always told y'all? You have to follow the money. That if you're not having a money conversation, you're not having an American conversation.
Thank you.
So you often hear me refer to the Reconstruction periods on this show. And I mention that all the time.
Yeah, but look.
Why do I mention that?
Hold up.
It is because you've heard me also say, in the history of America.
Hold up. Speaking of the Reconstruction period, let us not forget that they took away all the changes the free blacks and the poor whites got together and made as far as the Republican Party was concerned, right? Which we were Republicans. Hello, black people. All my black people that's out there on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you hearing my voice right now. We were Republicans, okay? Coming out of slavery. We were Republicans, okay? Because we felt like, and this is according to what I read and research, we felt as though, why am I going to go and be a Democrat? They're the ones that was hanging me from trees. So we were, and we did build the Republican Party up, okay? And side by side with poor whites, okay, as it's written, okay, with poor whites, we rewrote a lot of the Constitution. We wrote that Constitution, right? And there was a whole new civil rights and a whole set of rules as far as melanated people is concerned. But when Reconstruction came along, that was all abolished, done away with, right? All of that was all done away with. That's why we wound up in the street fighting for the right to vote and everything else, because they took it all back, took it all away.
Every time there's been a period of black success, there's been a longer period of white backlash. And see, now you got people like Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Chris Murphy and others, and who just, for them, no, this is not race, this is class. That's not what it is. But no, they're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. See, what you have to realize is that if you go back to the first Reconstruction, if you really want an understanding of this, and I guarantee you, if Greg was at home, he would reach back and grab it if he was there. If you really want to understand this, you have to understand this. This is called Black Reconstruction in America, 1860 to 1880, written by W.E.B. Du Bois. This here, y'all, for those of you, if you include the bibliography, if you even include the index, this is a 746-page book where he talks about the period of Reconstruction. What is the period of Reconstruction? It is that period after the end of the Civil War when you had a focus of the radical Republicans, which is not today's Republican Party. The radical Republicans, and if y'all really want to learn some history, go look up Thaddeus Stevens. These radical Republicans, they had no interest in bipartisanship. They wanted to change America. They said, damn the other people, we got the majority, run the bills through. And that's how you got the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment, which are called the Reconstruction Amendments. Yeah. That's when you begin to look at the Civil Rights Act that was passed in the 1860s that provided a framework for African Americans to be able to access, listen to y'all, contracts. I don't think some of y'all heard what I just said. One of those laws that was passed.
Breaking it down.
It was not passed in 1854. It wasn't around the same time as Dred Scott decision. This particular act was passed because the radical Republicans understood that coming out of Reconstruction, that the freed people of African descent needed to be able to access the economic levers of the country in order for them to be able.
Now, why does every black person automatically assume that we are all of African descent? Need I break this down one more time? One more time, I'm going to break this down. Now, if we go back to the Dred Scott case, which I want to get into a little bit of that too if I have time, because I did a video on that. But if we go back to the Dred Scott case, 1854, right? What was Judge Tannen's dilemma? Roger Tannen said specifically his dilemma was can a black man or should a black man whose descendants are African slaves, who is a descendant of African slaves, have the same rights, the same citizenship and rights as those so-called black people that are already here, right? Because like I broke down to you, obviously the people were black. Because why would he have gone over to people that didn't look like him and said, what y'all doing? And why would he have assumed or thought that he could be free or should be free too? Because he saw black people that were free. He saw black people that looked like him, right? So obviously we didn't all come over here on no slave ship. Hello, okay? How many times do I got to keep breaking that down? How many times we got to keep going through that? So why everybody keep referring to all of us as Africans? We not all Africans, okay? Do I believe we have African, some type of African lineage, distant cousins? Yeah, I do believe that. But I didn't know that slave trade shit was told to us in reverse, okay? So there. And I don't appreciate being referred to as an African when I can't even identify not one person in my family, and I come from a large family all throughout the South and whatnot. And I can't even identify not one member of my family that is from the motherland, Africa. So, as far as I'm concerned, I can't necessarily say that. And every black person should have the right to say what your nationality is. It should not be something that is being judged or told to you or thrusted upon you. Okay? Because everybody's story is not the same. Period.
To move ahead. Now, this, if you look at it real quick here, I'll pull it up. You see this AI overview. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 was the first federal law in the United States to define citizenship and protect the civil rights of all citizens. It also was a bill that dealt with economics. It was economics. And so what began to happen during Reconstruction? I would argue at the Reconstruction period, the first one, is the most successful period in the history of America for people of African descent. Because what happens during the Reconstruction period, you then begin to see free people of African descent running for state legislature. You see them being elected to Congress. Do y'all realize that which we now know to be hardcore right-wing Confederate, the first state that succeeded from the Union because they wanted to support slavery, South Carolina, that had a majority black legislature? Because you know why? The black folks at the numbers. Do y'all even recognize that taxpayer-funded education is a result of those free people of African descent putting it in the state constitution?
That's right.
James D. Anderson's book, The Education of Blacks in the South, 1860 to 1935, details that. You then begin to see, I know a lot of people get caught up in 40 acres and a mule, but black folks were not waiting on 40 acres and a mule. They began to acquire property. They began to open businesses. You then begin to see, we talk about Black Wall Street in Tulsa in 1921 burning down.
And I want to pause again for a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt again, but I must interject and I must say something because he brought up the 14th Amendment. So let's talk about this 14th Amendment real quick. Why does everybody, not 14th Amendment, he brought up this 40 acres and a mule, right? Why does everybody keep talking about this 40 acres and a mule? We ain't going to get that. You're not going to get that because they put that clause into the Constitution. Or in matter of fact, it is the 14th Amendment, and I believe it's the fourth article, the fourth clause. It says right there, you cannot question the national debt, clock, or slavery. We gave up the right to do that when we gave them all our rights for citizenship, 14th Amendment citizenship. Go in there and read it. It says it right there, okay? And when you read that 14th Amendment and you understand what it's saying, where it says, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, and subject, that and denotes something. That means that you don't only have to be born here or naturalized, you have to be a subject as well in order to be a citizen, okay? And when we did that, you gave up those rights for that 40 acres and a mule. That's why the clause is in there, okay? It's the 4th article, the 4th section. Read it. It's there, okay? So what we keep having that argument about, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't be getting it sometimes. Listen, let's go. Let's continue. Let's go.
Black Wall Street's happening all over the country, beginning during Reconstruction. But what then happened? And you can look at Eric W.B. Du Bois' book, or if you want to, you can read Eric Foner's book, Reconstruction, America's Unfinished Revolution. He has it from 1863 to 1877. 1877 is kind of important. I'm about to get to it. So what then happens? All of a sudden, you begin to see African Americans creating opportunities, but passing bills. You begin to see them building things and doing things and opening schools. And all of a sudden, you begin to have white folks who then go, you know what? That's enough. We done enough for these Negroes. Listen, we about tired of hearing about all this stuff we need to do. Yeah, I know we had them enslaved for 200 plus years, but can we just move along? We don't have time. White America started getting tired of doing things for those people. We've done enough for those people. Then there's an election, 1876, a contested election. Sounds quite familiar. And so the Republicans and Democrats, they all of a sudden begin to say, well, you know what? Democrats say, well, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to let y'all go ahead and y'all can go ahead and y'all had a presidency. But we're going to do a deal. Y'all got to pull these federal troops on the last 3 remaining Southern capitals. Oh, I'm sorry. Remember I told y'all they kept saying we're getting tired of that? See, what happened was they put federal troops in state capitals to ensure that the Dixiecrats, the racists, would not take over. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. See, one of the big mistakes of Lincoln and the radical Republicans, of course, remember Lincoln gets assassinated, being he is followed by an absolute violent racist, Andrew Johnson. What then happens, he then goes, you know what, the hell with that. We're going to return the land to the slave owners if they apologize for what they did. So America put the folk back in power who were the ones who led the Civil War. So what then happens, you then begin to have this election, it gets contested. And so then there's a compromise. We ain't in the room. The white folks were making a deal. And that's known as the Great Compromise of 1877. Do y'all know what came after the Great Compromise of 1877? The Reconstruction period ended. That's when the period of Jim Crow started. These white folks were like, no, we have done enough for these black people. We are sick and tired of doing this. So then we come around to a second Reconstruction. All of a sudden, Emmett Till gets killed August 28, 1955. And all of a sudden, you have these black women in Montgomery, Alabama, the Women's Council, who were organizing and they were doing what they were supposed to do. Then all of a sudden, you then begin to have these black women. It was not the black preachers. It was not the black men. It was the black women in Montgomery, Alabama, who were the ones who started the Montgomery bus boycott. Then Rosa Parks sits down. Then it began December 1st, 1955. They began to bring them to their knees. But understand, Montgomery, it went already to the Supreme Court, but then Montgomery buckled.
See, this is what I don't be liking about Roland sometime, yo, because he don't be keeping it all the way real. Harriet Tubman, why am I saying Harriet Tubman? Rosa Parks stole that incident from Claudette Clover. Was it Clover or Clove? Claudette Clover. I could be mispronouncing that. That's a misnomer. But the original person, for my people that don't know, my people, my Johnny-come-lately people in the back, Claudette Clover, because she did not fit their idea of someone that should be representing the black community. The NAACP I'm speaking of, and this is an old story. I read about this or found out about this years ago. But yes, Claudette Clover, she was pregnant at the time, woolly head, big lip, pregnant little black girl. She didn't fit the look. She didn't fit the mold. So they went and got old pretty light skin, octoroom, mulatto looking, or maybe she is, I don't really know, Rosa Parks, because she fit the part. She had a husband, she had a nice vehicle, she had a good job, she lived in a nice neighborhood. We ain't gonna take this little pickaninny girl and put her up as the poster child to represent us. So they got Rosa Parks to do the job for them. Yeah, that's the story, okay? It was all a sham. And that's what I don't like about Roland. But I like Roland because he does address a lot of the issues. But I don't like the fact that he don't tell the whole truth. And it's time for us to tell the whole truth and shame the devil. It's time for us to do that. You feel me? Oh, shit. I hit the wrong button. My bad, y'all. We're going to go right back. Don't worry about it. Just going to zoom right back over there. Okay, here we go. My bad. But that's the truth, y'all. That's the whole story.
I want to buy your house. I can pay you cash for your house no matter what condition it's in. If you need to sell your house for any reason, click the button under this video to see if my offer is right for you. We make the process of...
It was not the black preachers. It was not the black men. It was the black women in Montgomery, Alabama, who the ones who started the Montgomery bus boycott.
To be short, if you ask me, the NAACP is, excuse me for saying this, but it is my right to feel this way. This is my opinion. The NAACP for doing that to that young lady, that young sister Claudette. Okay, she's an elderly woman now. Okay. But for doing that to her, to me, in my opinion, the NAACP ain't shit either. They ain't shit either. And they don't really have melanated people, so-called black people's best interests at heart. Okay, but that is what they did. And that's how Rosa Parks wound up being all on TV screen, all on the media, because she fit the look. She fit the part. Even your own people feel that way. And ain't the NAACP supposed to be for the people? Well, they didn't feel like that at that time. Okay? And he needs to tell the truth about that.
Now, that it began December 1st, 1955. They began to bring them to their knees. But understand, Montgomery, it went all the way to the Supreme Court, but then Montgomery buckled because it was a money thing, y'all. That began a 13-year odyssey. When you begin to see the fight over civil rights, you then begin to see the laws passed, the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65, the Fair Housing Act of 1968. And guess what happened? You had these Republicans who actually were supportive of civil rights. And all of a sudden, Barry Goldwater runs for president in 1964. He was a senator from Arizona. And then what does Barry Goldwater do? Barry Goldwater then, he opposes the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
And that's when most black people became
King was so offended by that King actually campaigned for President Lyndon Baines Johnson in 1964, something that he never did. But they said it was so important.
And that's when most black people became, Democrats. Democrats. And it was your boy LBJ, the one who loved to call us niggers all the time, that said, I'm going to have them niggas voting Democrat for 300 years. Did a video on that too. But who watches my video, right? But I did all this. I speak about all this. I do. Okay, but that's the deal. That's what happened, man. Come on, Roland. Tell it like it happened.
Goldwater not to win because Barry Goldwater was going to stop civil rights in its tracks. Why is that important? Why is Barry Goldwater's opposition to the 64 Civil Rights Act so important? Because the 64 Civil Rights Act dealt with public accommodations. It dealt with you couldn't bar people from restaurants and transportation. It went on and on and on. Oh, well, I'm sorry. That means that you couldn't bar people. You could not discriminate against people. And so guess what? They inserted women into the 64 Civil Rights Act that a racist from Virginia, Judge Smith, thinking that would kill the bill. It actually helped pass the bill. That's important because you can now go to Title IX, and that's one of the reasons why it was passed, because of the 64 Civil Rights Act, provision of the Civil Rights Act. So why is this important? Because what happens? King gets killed April 4, 1968, assassinated. 69, Nixon becomes president. Arthur Fletcher brings in forth affirmative action. You have a period from 68 to the early 80s where black mayors begin to take over. You begin to see contracts, quotas, affirmative action, dollars. Second Reconstruction. You had dollars flowing during the first one. You had dollars flowing during the second one. All of a sudden, get to the 80s. Nixon, he's gone. Carter, president. Reagan runs. Oh, the same President Ronald Reagan, who he was governor of California, running for governor of California, supported the bill for white folks not allowing them not to sell their houses to black people. Some of y'all don't pay attention. The same Reagan who became governor, who when the Black Panthers brought their guns to the state capitol, they immediately outlawed carrying long rifles. They said, oh, hell no. That was actually legal. The same Reagan who changed the rules that caused for tuition in college for you to be charged, because they did not want the regular, ordinary, common man to become educated. Man, some of y'all are going to have to learn some damn history. So what then happened? So here you've appeared from 69 to about 82, 83. And Reagan wins in 1980, inaugurated in 1981. What does Reagan then do? Reagan begins to go after affirmative action programs. You then begin to see the lawsuits happen. Then you begin to see the decisions coming down out of the Supreme Court, where they then begin to put constraints on affirmative action. That's an economic situation.
There's only one fuel that can drive the performance you demand from your car. New 94 octane. The highest octane on the market. Only at Sunoco.
Skip this.
Clear Choice was the greatest investment I've ever done in my life.
Come on. Sorry, guys, I can't skip it. You see.
Protect mode. Adding Lysol disinfectant spray to your cleaning routine is 3 times more effective at stopping the spread of germs.
Come on.
Find out who your man is
Oh my God.
Today, I'm going to show you how to expose anyone with just their phone number.
Okay, there we go. My bad. I couldn't
And
skip
Reagan,
it.
in his 8 years, begins to unleash holy hell economically against black people. And then what happens on May 25th, 2020? George Floyd is killed. George Floyd is killed on May 25th, 2020. And folk like me said, y'all, this is the third Reconstruction. We said in that aftermath that unlike the first two, which largely focused on civil rights, although economics was a part of it, this should be solely focused on civil rights. What happens in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd? You begin to see white people and Latino folks, and you begin to see Asians protesting, shutting companies down, forcing them to make economic commitments to be change agents. And white conservatives went, oh shit, we can't have this. We cannot have a generation or two of young white people who are reading and being educated about the real history of America. There's no coincidence. The attacks on critical race theory comes after George Floyd's death. Oh, some of you may say, well, I still don't understand. What's the deal here? Because the attacks on CRT and the attacks on wokeness were all designed to drive a wedge through conscious white people and the folk who wanted to keep the system the same. You had white people in companies who were forcing them. Adidas announced a $10 million commitment, and the white folks in the company lost their mind so much the next day the CEO said, oh, it's going to be $100 million. Companies pledged 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 billion in economic commitments in the wake of the death of George Floyd. And then the right said, no, we cannot have this. Oh, no, hell no. Remember, May 25th, 2020, Trump was in the White House. We cannot have this because if we have this coalition of young white people who now all of a sudden becomes conscious, who all of a sudden becomes awake, then all of a sudden we are guaranteed to lose elections in the future. And so what do they then begin to do? They begin to complain about
Oh, snap, hold up.
They begin.
Hold up. I just had, I'm going to call it like a DNA explosion. As my spiritual advisor always calls it, a DNA explosion, because, white people waking up. Is that why the woke community, what they calling that? They calling it the woke era. They hating on the woke, they hating on the woke community so much. They bad mouthing the woke community so much. Could that be why they bad mouthing the woke community so much, y'all? Could it be because the white people waking up? The young white people, the young white babies are waking up to the truth about how Grandpa Jethro got his money. How we got all this here land that we's living on and living so good and eating so good. Is that why everybody's mad at the woke community? Because little Billy is waking up to all of that. And they don't want little Billy to know that. They don't want Billy to know that Granddad Jethro wasn't nothing but a thief and a liar. Could that be it? Sounds like it to me. I smell something funky. Something don't smell right. What it say? Scratch a lie, find a thief. Let's go.
They complain about what they're seeing in libraries and what then happens. They begin to run for school board. Moms for Liberty begin.
Y'all hear that rain? Yo, it's pouring down outside where I'm at.
And it's to rise up. And so they take all of that fury in 2021 and begin to win. And that goes into 2022. It sets up the return of Donald Trump. But what a lot of people have been missing is that Brown versus Board of Education decision in 1954 leads to, of course, in 1955. And all of a sudden, you begin to see the changes made by those federal judges. And so the hardcore right goes, damn it, we got to combat this. The civil rights laws beginning to come in 1960. And they said, no, we can't have this. And then all of a sudden, because of what black people did, fighting for civil rights, and then it was black people's fighting for civil rights, which opened the doors for immigrants to be able to come into the country. Thank you, Indian Americans. You're welcome, Pakistani Americans. You're welcome, Asian Americans, because that's black people make it happen. Then the white folks said, oh, hell no. This all of a sudden, this multiracial America, we ain't having that. That's why you begin to see rich folks, the Mellons of the world, begin to fund the Heritage Foundation, fund the conservative think tanks, because they needed to establish a
All right,
structure
Facebook,
to
I'm about to shut y'all
reframe
down over here,
America,
Facebook, because I don't want
because
y'all
we cannot have a multiracial America where these people are going to be in power. So we are going to attack economics.
I'm gonna shut y'all down, Facebook.
We're going to attack
I don't need y'all
voting
to go
rights.
that long.
We're going to attack
But my
everything.
YouTube, I'm gonna keep my YouTube going because I see some
society.
people in the
All
building
these things
watching.
happen, which is
Peace
why,
to everybody
folks,
in the building. Welcome to
you
everybody
have
in the building.
Robert
Thank
Mercer,
y'all for stopping on by, rocking out with your big sis. All right, to my Facebook people, thank y'all for stopping on by, rocking out with your big sis.
Mercer
I hope you learned something.
that the 1964 Civil
Okay,
Rights
arm
Act
yourself
was
with
a
knowledge.
mistake, according to the New Yorker. A former employee claimed that Mercer asserted repeatedly that African Americans were better off economically before the civil rights. Mercer allegedly claimed that black people were racist, and they were no more racist, that there were no more white racists. He said black people were racist and that there were no more white racists. That's the billionaire Robert Mercer, who was one of the biggest funders of Donald Trump in the 2016 election, who was the chief funder of Breitbart. This election, you had Charlie Kirk, the CEO of Turning Point USA, who was organizing and galvanizing young white folks on college campuses all across the country